Hey there, my name is Angela. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to talk about mistakes I made when I first got my camera so that you don't make them too. So I am coming up on the 1-year anniversary of me getting my Canon M50, and that has me feeling a little bit nostalgic. So I thought, hey, let me think back to when I first got my camera and think about all the horrible decisions I made with it and share them with you. So without further ado, here's number 1. So the first mistake I'm going to talk about is one that I clearly remember making, and I actually have evidence of said mistake. And mistake number 1 is putting the ISO way too high. So the first day I took out my camera, I went on this evening hike and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get some amazing landscapes. But as the sun went down, I thought, gotta brighten up this picture, and I was very new to shooting in manual, so rather than lowering the shutter speed and the aperture, I bumped up that ISO super high, and I cranked it up so much that my photos became grainy. And I had just gotten my camera, so I thought, is this a bad camera? Like, what is with this photo quality? But now looking back, I know that is not the case. It was because I was bumping up that ISO way too high. Mistake number 2 also has to do with camera settings, and it is using the wrong aperture. So when I first got my camera, I had no idea what ISO was, what aperture was, what shutter speed was, and like how they played a role for how my photos would turn out. So I kind of just winged it and adjusted everything based on what I was seeing on the screen. So that meant my aperture was usually either too low or too high for what I wanted. And now I know though that if you want something in the foreground really clear and the background really blurry, then you're gonna want a lower aperture because it focuses on whatever is a lower distance away from you. But if you wanna do landscapes, you should have a higher aperture because it really gives you a full image and clear image of everything in the wider shot. So yeah, that was another mistake that I made that I don't make anymore. Okay, so before I get to number 3, I would like to mention that this video is sponsored by no one because I don't have enough subs to get sponsorships, and if you want to change that, help me out and hit the subscribe button down there. Just thought I would throw that in there before we move on to number 3. Alright, so the third mistake I'm going to talk about is a classic. If you've watched other mistake videos about photography, then you probably have heard this one said before, or if you are part of the photography community on Instagram or Reddit, you probably see people say, do you shoot JPEG? And I used to shoot JPEG. That's my third mistake. When you first get your camera, it is automatically set to shoot in JPEG, but you should go into your settings and change it to RAW because RAW photos give you more high quality, crisp shots, and they actually are easier to manipulate in post-edit than JPEG photos. Another mistake that I made that is so tightly woven in with number 3 that I'm not even gonna count it as a number on this list is I shot in both RAW and JPEG rather than just RAW. And the reason why I consider this a mistake is that it made my memory card fill up faster, and I realized that the JPEG photos were completely unnecessary. I was editing the RAW ones, so yeah, something for you to consider. Mistake number 4 is one that I kind of cringe when I think about because now I know it is a major no-no, and that is touching my camera sensor with a microfiber towel. And yeah, so now I know not to do that because it really runs the risk of scratching your camera sensor, which is the most sensitive part of your camera. So much so that you really don't want to do anything that might put it in harm's way, and rubbing it with a microfiber towel does just that. And nothing happened to my camera, so it's not the end of the world, but now I know better and I wouldn't do that again. If you are at all confused about how to clean your camera, I actually made a video about that, so go ahead and click it. I think it's in that corner. It might be in that corner. You see it. I don't know, I don't see it, but it's up there. The fifth and final mistake is one that I honestly still kind of make to this day. And it is blowing out my skies. So sometimes I'm so focused on what I'm shooting in front of me that I don't pay attention enough to my background, aka my sky. And then in post-edit, I realize my sky is overexposed and just can't be saved, and that can ruin a shot. The way that I usually avoid making this mistake nowadays is I pay attention to what's going on in the background, and if my sky seems overexposed, then I'll adjust my camera settings until I see some color in that sky on my camera screen. But with that being said, if the sky is white, the sky is white. You can't really do much about it. But if it's not white and it looks white on your screen, you can fix that. Even if it makes whatever you're shooting in the foreground a little bit darker, that's okay, because it is amazing what you can do in Lightroom by raising the shadows or applying filter mask. So yep, that is it. That was my last mistake. And that is all for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any mistakes that you used to make that I didn't mention in this video, comment them down below. Until next time, bye.